So much happened over the weekend. We're at Monday already. I hope it was a joyous weekend. You know who didn't have one of those? Joy Reid from MSNBC. It's never nice to wish, ill will on somebody else, especially their career. But this one we can all agree. This should be one of those unifying moments for the nation. We should all be happy that Joy Reid is gone from MSNBC. The joy is gone. Now, we knew that was going to happen at one point because MSNBC has just been struggling. But to look into how far that whole network, not just her show, has fallen recently, really since the election, that was like the turning point. It really was. Like all of their viewers that were remaining just finally gave up. They gave up the ghost, and they said, I can't even listen to this anymore. They were holding out hope that Trump wouldn't win, but he did, and now they're just hiding or protesting or something. But this one really feels like this is truly the beginning of the end for crazy media. It really does, like a really big turning point. And it may be, I don't know. We'll get into that in a little bit. A little Pope update for you coming up here in a second, too. It's not too good, but I was thinking way too much about this guy over the weekend and how to feel about it, because the Vatican is actually asking for prayers. And kind of like when we said on Friday, that's never good. Talk about that as well. Trump's epic takedown of the Maine governor. That was something. I want to see more of that. Not for the confrontation. I just want to see it in the open like it was. And that's another benefit to having Trump there. You want to talk about transparency? The people that he's actually pushing back against, governors and prosecutors in this country, attorneys general. I want to see that in the public, and we got a view of that over the weekend as well. And Elon's emails. They're actually DOGE emails, but in a way, I guess we can call them performance reviews for these federal employees. Don't buy the story that's out there that all of the federal employees are just dreading this and they hate it and they're panicking. And some of the mainstream media stories has been they're having to leave their homes. Okay, that's not everybody, because trust me, there are plenty of federal employees that are welcoming DOGE and a chance to show what they do with open arms. It's finally their chance. And really, that's how we should all look at this kind of stuff. All right, let's get to it, though. Nuts and bolts first. Let's get through some business. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio. Always the live stream here on X and on YouTube and on Facebook. And you audio listeners, we're live every single day. And you can find the audio podcast right after we go live, right after the show, wherever you like to get your podcasts. And that's really grown a lot. I didn't think that was going to grow so much, the audio portion of it. It's the power of the podcast, I guess. I don't know, but thanks for growing it. Appreciate you so very much. All right, let's get to this. The joy is gone. That headline was just too easy. Joy Reid fired over the weekend. Started a long time ago, actually. But she's gone from MSNBC, her show. What was the name of it? The Readout? I think that was the actual name of it. But anyway, you know Joy Reid, don't you? I'm sure you don't watch a lot of MSNBC except for the comedy. And I will tell you this, honest to God, hand to my heart, I'm going to miss that portion of MSNBC. I really mean it. Because once you see through, and I talk about this a lot, just being involved in really studying media for so long, once you see through the propaganda and the lies, it becomes comedy. It really does. I mean, you look at anything like Morning Joe on MSNBC. When you start to see that as like a comedy show, it's some of the best television that's ever been made. It really is. But some of it goes too far. Now, here's Joy Reid doing a little side video now. And I guess, I don't know. I guess the takeaway is being a sexist and a racist, and she is a homophobe with those earlier emails that got exposed from her personal blog. I guess that doesn't play too much anymore, even at MSNBC. Here's Joy Reid. Here's a little sampling of what she's like.
In America, there's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears. Really white tears in general, because that's what Karens are, right? They Karen out, and then as soon as they get caught, it's like, bring waterworks. White men can get away with that, too.
That's her. I don't know where she's going from here, but she'll find some sort of a landing place in lefty media, because a lot of people that love that, I guess. I don't know. It's the oldest line in the world is to try to reverse it and do the thing. Like you always do the thing. Like imagine somebody on Fox getting away and saying that, taking her words, but the exact opposite. black tears and saying that. It's the same old story. We all know, but you got away with it for this long. To the tune of, because now all the stories are coming out, to the tune of she was making $3 million a year for, oh boy, I don't know how many years she was at MSNBC, but that's what it was. So she did well. And looking into this too, the story is since November 5th, and that's the exact turning point. And that was the election. They looked back from November 5th. That was the turning point where her entire show fell off the cliff. I knew it was down because I saw and heard a lot of the stories of a lot of people who were watching MSNBC. They just couldn't anymore. They just couldn't. They were holding out hope. They were not the CNN viewers, the MSNBC viewers, the loonies that were just still holding out hope that Trump was not going to get elected. And he did, and then it just sent them over the edge, so they couldn't even watch anything. Maybe they're just like in hiding, I don't know. But since November 5th, that turning point, she lost 53% of her ratings, a 53% dramatic drop from one specific turning point. That's unbelievable. That's more than just a media thing. That's a societal thing. That's like the few people that were left watching that thing, they're like, they need help. Seriously, they need some mental. I don't know where they go now. I don't know what they're doing now. Maybe they're the people out protesting at a public park somewhere. You see them and they have the DOGE songs, the anti-Elon and anti-Trump songs. I don't know. But you can look at the exact point where she lost 53% of her ratings, and they're all publishing it. November 5th after that. That's unbelievable. So she's gone. Because there's a difference now. There's the Joy Reids of the world, right? And there's the CNN people. And I've always thought this, and I think it's bearing out to be true. CNN people, like the Jake Tappers and Anderson Coopers and those kinds of people, right? They kind of know the crap that they're spewing. They know the difference, and you catch them in an honest moment, they'll admit that half the crap they're saying is just not true. And they know that. That's different than the MSNBC hosts like her, like she was. Like she truly, like that little clip I played about, this racist rant about white men and tears. Like she really believed that. Like that's the difference. That was the difference between MSNBC is where they put the lefty crazies who were like truly mentally ill. CNN is kind of like they're just professional play. Think of them as actors. That's what they are. Because CNN has enough intelligent people to know better. MSNBC has lunatics. That's where they are. That was kind of like the difference there. What MSNBC turns into, because this is a big turning point. I don't know. Who the heck knows what it's going to be, but it really does feel like it's a turning point for fake news. It does. It feels like that was the biggest chip to fall so far. And it may be. I don't know. We'll find out. All right, here's what else happened over the weekend, and this was amazing. And I'm surprised that actually a lot of people online, a lot of conservatives, Trump supporters, they were saying, oh, no, don't get into fights with Democrat governors in public. Don't be confrontational. And I heard that criticism. I said, well, why? Why not? You don't have to get into a shouting match, and it wasn't, I don't think. But instead of backroom arguments and negotiations, put it out in the public like this. And this was a White House, meeting. We invited the governors, and there was the luncheon afterwards, and Trump was speaking, and Trump starts talking about getting men out of women's sports, which has an incredible amount of support, poll after poll in this country, right? So it's happening. And the NCAA is complying. That's a great thing. That's awesome. That's happening. Maine is one of those states, he pointed out directly, that's pushing back against that. Governor of Maine, I'm sure you heard this, was actually in the room at the time. I love this kind of transparency. I love this kind of honesty. But you want to talk about a takedown? How'd you like to be her today? Because she doesn't have a leg to stand on, but it's long. But this is how the whole thing went down. You probably saw the clip, but now listen to it a little closer. It's amazing.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Oh, she's here.
Well, I'm here. Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. and enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
That was the hammer at the end. That was the final hammer there. And this is going to surprise you, but just from her perspective. Now, I completely disagree with that. Women should not compete in men's sports. I'm sorry, it just shouldn't happen. And like I said, most of the polls in this country completely agree with that sentiment, that it's not right. It's not fair. It's not right. It's terrible. I mean, women fought, feminists. Where are the feminists fighting against this? Women fought for equality in women's sports and get Title IX passed for. It took decades. And now this all of a sudden, and where are they? The people that fought to get this done, why did they back? Are they that afraid? Why did they back down? But that said, I do have to say this, because I always pay attention to how people handle situations. If you're just pretend for a second you're the governor of Maine and you're in that situation. You're at this luncheon, you're in the back of the room, and you get called out personally by the president. You know, I disagree with everything she is and what she says, but pretty good line to say there for your constituents, for the people that actually did vote for you back in your home state, to say, good, I'll see you in court. Pretty good. I mean, I don't know what else she's going to say. She's going to lose that battle for sure, but then, of course, Trump just dropped the hammer on her. This kind of thing, though, and this is why I say I'm surprised that a lot of people are pushing back against this. Oh, no, see, that's bad, Trump. See, he shouldn't confront governors like that, and it's disrespectful. Forget about the disrespect aspect of it. How about for you and me and everybody else trying to get information on this? We all asked for transparency. Let's be honest. We all did. We wanted transparency. No backroom deals. We wanted to see how these things go directly, right? You can't get any more direct than that. I want these discussions to happen out in the public, so I'm totally fine with it. Fine. And if she gets embarrassed at a luncheon, fine. So be it. But these kinds of issues need to be talked about, and they did. And I would bet now what we have to watch for is to see what the people of Maine, how they push back on this. Or the rest of the country. You know, Maine, population-wise, isn't a very big state. Did you ever hear or know who the governor of Maine was before? I never thought about her, but she's on the bulletin board now. And so is that issue of men playing in women's sports, because new polls will come out this week, and there'll be even more support for getting men out of women's sports after this happened. And the result of that is because Trump took that fight publicly. That clip has been reposted everywhere. It has not millions, tens of millions of views. So what does that mean? More people are aware of the issue. That's what it means. All right, we'll get to some more fun stuff here in a second, but just a quick update here because we talked a lot about it on Friday. So keep an eye on this Pope situation, because if you read the tea leaves out of the Vatican, you know, they always try to say that he's doing okay and he's fine and he's this and that. And then when they come out with a statement like, please pray for the Holy Father, condition has worsened. And then you see that kind of stuff and you go, uh-oh. I think sooner rather than later, we're going to be going through conclave with the Vatican, you know, where they try to find the new Pope and you look for the white smoke or the black smoke or the smoke in between. I don't know, whatever. I think we're going to be going through that because this guy probably is going to be not around much longer. And I have kind of a conundrum with this thing. Because I think I've told you many times before, because I was raised Catholic, so I'm like one of those recovering Catholics, right? It's like I love the spirituality part of it. The political organization that is the church, ain't me. There's a lot of it I disagree with and still do. And this Pope directly, especially when it comes to America's immigration policy, he has, over the past 2-3 years, has been very vocal about saying that America should not have borders. Yeah, I know. This is a guy that literally lives behind a wall with the Vatican. I have zero interest in listening to the Pope or anybody else that's not a resident of this country, I don't care who you are, talking about our border situation. That's our business. And just the fact that he even said that is offensive to me as an American, because you're putting, really what you're advocating for is putting our way of life in danger. That's what he did. That's why I have no interest whatsoever in any policy that this Pope has. None. And there's still a lot of policies within the Catholic Church that I rail against. That said, this whole thing is a pretty good example of how you can, you know that phrase, hate the game, not the player, or hate the player, not the game? It's kind of one of those situations. So as the Vatican sends out a request for all of humanity to pray for the Holy Father, even though you may not like the guy, it's a good example of how you can separate the two, right? So I kind of landed on this as of yesterday. I'll pray for the Padre. I'll pray for the Pope as a person. I can do that while still at the same time, I'll throw a couple of prayers in there for a change at the Vatican leadership. maybe without him dying. Is that fair? Is that a fair balance? Can I pray for him as a human being to feel better and yet pray for the Catholic Church, which is very powerful, to feel better? Because their policies are awful. Absolutely awful. But it's an incredibly important organization for millions, tens of millions of people around the world. So I hope he gets better. I'll pray for you, Padre, but stop talking about our politics, please. And I hope the next pope, whoever that's going to be, and that's going to, boy, is that going to be interesting to see who the next pope is going to be with these changing times, with a push to make Western civilization stronger again, to see if the pope falls in line with that. This is going to be fascinating to see. I don't know. All right, let's wrap up with this. Elon's emails. I say it that way just because it's catchy, or I think it's catchy, whatever. It's kind of goofy. But really what it is are these emails that went out from DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, to all federal employees at every single level and what they are. So DOGE employees, this is actually part of the story, started to leak these out. What's actually in it? I would love to see. I would love to see what one of these emails goes to everybody that has a federal email account. And it simply says this. The subject line is, what did you do last week? This. As a business owner, I love this. It comes from HR. Please reply to this email with approximately 5 bullets of what you accomplished last week and CC your manager. And then, of course, the nuts and bolts of it. Please do not send any classified information, info, or attachments. Deadline is Monday, blah, 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 blah. Elon's response to this so far, and what he's gotten so far, is a large number of good responses have been received already. These are the people who should be considered for a promotion. And that's what got me thinking. Probably, it's a good chance that all of us, all of you guys listening, watching, we've all gone through performance reviews at some point in your career, right? It's just, even if you're a business owner, everybody's got a boss, right? You have to answer to an investor, other partners, somebody else, sometimes the government, somebody else. Everybody has a boss you have to answer to. Even going through decades of a corporate environment like I have, I will tell you this, and please don't take this as being, oh, you're an ass kisser, what a bootlicker, whatever this. I will guarantee you, I looked forward to any and all performance reviews I've ever had. Mine was a little bit different coming from the radio world because you're literally rated every single day. Every minute of every single day, with a rating system. So that's a little bit different. But an actual performance review to get down and explain and to be able to justify and to promote what you do every single day, you should love this. And don't buy this hype that all federal employees are dreading this. Because you know who's dreading it? Only the useless ones. Let me ask you this. I will guarantee you, all of you, everybody, all of us have been stuck at some point in time behind some useless middle manager. And it doesn't matter what field you're in. Somebody that just, their job is to keep you where you are without advancing, and somehow it's up to them to explain to the superiors of this organization, wherever you are, what you do. And you don't get the chance to do it yourself, and nobody really understands your value. That's when you look forward to a performance review. Let me tell you something. I will guarantee it. There are a ton of federal employees that are loving this because those who are good at what they do, you relish, you salivate at the chance to explain what you do and to get through and beyond and push aside a useless middle manager and get to the decision makers. You love this. And it's a great lesson for all. Number one, don't buy this hype that the federal employees are fearing this because they're not. The ones that are good, that are working, they're gonna shine through this. The useless fat in the middle that needs to be filleted away, oh yeah, they're probably, or at the top, oh yeah, they're probably afraid of this, absolutely, because they've probably done nothing for their whole career, have done nothing. Those are the ones who fear this kind of thing. Those who are good, you relish the chance to show how good you are. You absolutely love it. So take this as a lesson. All of us should. No matter what you do, no matter what you own, where you work, what your organization is, or what your business is, or your career, always accept the challenge for a performance review. I get a chance to explain how good I am? Oh, sit me down. Let me write it up. Let me talk to you personally. Absolutely. This is awesome. And this is where DOGE is so good. The cream is going to rise to the top. I absolutely love this. You watch. That's what's going to happen. All right, I'm out of material. You're saying, thank God. Talking too much for a Monday. But the audio podcast is going to be available in just a couple of minutes. Wherever you prefer to get those, whatever platform gets posted just past 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And for you audio listeners, we're live here on X and Facebook and YouTube every single day. Whew, what a weekend. Who the heck knows what's going to happen today? Hopefully it's good stuff, and it probably will be. Number one takeaway, and the most important of all, somebody wants to give you a performance review? Oh, yeah. Welcome that with open arms, because you can show them how awesome you are. And the second thing is, don't take any crap from anybody, especially middle managers. That said, all right, I'll have a wicked awesome Monday. I'll talk to you tomorrow.